High in the mountains, nestled between two sparkling waterfalls, lay the village of Harmonia. It was a place unlike any other. Music was magic in Harmonia. Every note held enchantment. The villagers sang to their plants, making them grow tall and strong. They hummed to soothe crying babies. Life in Harmonia was a beautiful song.
At the heart of the village stood the elder tree. It was ancient and wise. Its leaves shimmered with silver. Within its trunk lived the enchanted melody. This melody was the source of Harmonia's magic. It pulsed with life and love. The melody kept the village safe and happy.
The villagers would gather beneath the elder tree every evening. They would sing along with the enchanted melody. The melody filled their hearts with warmth. It reminded them of the power of music. It reminded them that they were one.
Life in Harmonia was peaceful. It was full of joy. The villagers knew how lucky they were to live in such a magical place. They cherished the enchanted melody. They promised to protect it always.
One day, a shadow fell over Harmonia. The wind grew cold. The birds stopped singing. The once vibrant village, known for its lively tunes and cheerful inhabitants, suddenly felt a chill that seeped into every corner. The villagers, who were used to waking up to the sweet melodies of nature, found themselves in an unsettling silence. It was as if the very soul of Harmonia had been stilled. A stranger had arrived in the village. He was unlike anyone the villagers had ever seen. His presence was both intriguing and alarming. The children, usually curious and playful, hid behind their parents, peeking out with wide eyes. The elders exchanged worried glances, sensing that this stranger brought with him an air of foreboding. He had dark eyes and a sly smile. His name was Dorian. Dorian's eyes seemed to pierce through the very essence of anyone who dared to meet his gaze. His smile, though seemingly friendly, had an edge to it that made the villagers uneasy. Whispers spread quickly, as they always do in small communities, and soon everyone knew his name. Dorian desired the enchanted melody for himself. The enchanted melody was not just a song, it was the heart of Harmonia. It was said to bring peace, prosperity, and happiness to the village. Dorian's eyes gleamed with greed as he looked at the elder tree where the melody resided. He knew that possessing it would give him unimaginable power. He wanted to use its power for his own selfish gain. Dorian's mind raced with possibilities. With the enchanted melody, he could control the very fabric of life in Harmonia. He could bend the will of the villagers, make them his subjects, and rule over them with an iron fist. The thought of such power made his heart race with excitement. Dorian waited for his chance. He knew that patience was key. He watched the villagers, learning their routines, their habits, and their weaknesses. He hid in the shadows, biding his time, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The villagers, unaware of his true intentions, went about their days, blissfully ignorant of the danger lurking in their midst. One night, under the cover of darkness, he crept into the heart of the elder tree. The village was silent, the only sound being the soft rustle of leaves in the night breeze. Dorian moved with the stealth of a predator, his eyes fixed on his prize. The elder tree, ancient and wise, seemed to sense the impending danger, its leaves trembling as if in fear. The villagers were asleep in their beds. They dreamt of happier times, unaware of the treachery unfolding in their beloved village. The night was supposed to be a time of rest and rejuvenation, but for Harmonia, it was the beginning of a nightmare. Dorian reached for the enchanted melody. His hands trembled with anticipation as he got closer. The melody, a glowing orb of pure magic, pulsed with a gentle light. It seemed to resist his touch, as if knowing the darkness in his heart. He ripped it from the tree. The melody cried out. Then, it went silent. The once vibrant glow of the elder tree dimmed, leaving the village in an eerie darkness. The power that had protected and nurtured Harmonia was gone, leaving a void that could be felt by every living being in the village.
The next morning, the villagers awoke to an eerie silence. The air felt heavy, the flowers drooped, the magic was gone. The once lively village was now a shadow of its former self. The children, who used to play and sing, now walked around with a sense of loss. The adults, who had always been full of hope and joy, now carried a weight of despair. The enchanted melody had been stolen. The realization hit the villagers like a thunderbolt. The source of their happiness, their protection, was gone. Panic spread quickly, and the village square was soon filled with worried and fearful faces. Fear spread through the village. The villagers knew that without the enchanted melody, they were vulnerable to the dangers of the world. The once safe and secure village now felt exposed and threatened. What would become of them without the melody's protection? The question hung in the air, unspoken but felt by all. The villagers looked to their leaders for answers, but even the elders seemed at a loss. The future of Harmonia was uncertain, and the fear of the unknown gripped the hearts of everyone. Their lives, once filled with music, were now shrouded in worry. The songs that used to fill the air were replaced by whispers of fear and uncertainty. The joy that had defined Harmonia was now a distant memory, replaced by a heavy silence that seemed to suffocate the very spirit of the village.
The villagers gathered beneath the now silent elder tree. They looked up at its branches, hoping for a sign, a miracle that would restore their beloved melody. The tree, once a symbol of life and joy, now stood as a reminder of their loss. They whispered in fear and desperation. The air was thick with tension as they discussed what to do next. Some suggested leaving the village in search of a new home, while others believed they should stay and fight to reclaim what was theirs. They knew they had to get the melody back. The decision was unanimous. Harmonia was their home, and they would not abandon it. The villagers, once filled with fear, now found a spark of determination. They would do whatever it took to bring back the enchanted melody. But who was brave enough to face the unknown? The task ahead was daunting, and the dangers were many. The villagers looked around, searching for someone who had the courage to step forward. Who would venture out and confront the thief? The question lingered in the air, but deep down, they knew that someone would rise to the challenge. Harmonia's fate depended on it, and the villagers held on to the hope that their hero would emerge. Ilara was a young village girl with eyes as blue as the summer sky. She lived in the quaint village of Harmonia, a place known for its lush green fields and the melodious tunes that filled the air. From a young age, Ilara was captivated by the enchanted melody, a mystical tune said to bring peace and prosperity to the land. She had always loved the enchanted melody. It was more than just music to her. It was a source of inspiration and hope. Every evening, she would sit by the old oak tree, playing her flute, trying to mimic the magical notes she had heard in her dreams. It filled her with a sense of wonder. The melody seemed to weave a tapestry of dreams and possibilities, painting vivid pictures in her mind of far-off lands and heroic deeds. Ilara was known for her kind heart and her unwavering courage. She was always the first to lend a helping hand, whether it was mending a broken fence or comforting a friend in need. Her bravery was unmatched, and she faced every challenge with a smile. She refused to let despair consume her village. Ilara stepped forward, her heart filled with determination. The village had fallen on hard times, and the once vibrant melodies had faded into silence. But Ilara believed that the enchanted melody could restore their lost joy.
I will find the enchanted melody. Her voice was steady, her resolve unshakable. She knew the journey would be fraught with danger, but she was ready to face whatever lay ahead. I will bring it back to Harmonia. Her promise echoed through the village square, filling the hearts of the villagers with a glimmer of hope.
The villagers gasped. They had never seen such determination in one so young. Ilara was just a child, but her spirit was that of a true hero. Ilara was just a child. Yet, in her eyes, they saw a fire that burned brighter than the sun. She was small in stature, but her heart was mighty. But they saw the determination in her eyes. It was a look that spoke of unyielding resolve and an unbreakable spirit. They knew she was their only hope. The elders nodded, their faces lined with worry but also with a newfound sense of belief. They had faith in Ilara.
May the spirit of the melody guide you, Ilara. The elder's voice was gentle but firm, a blessing and a charge.
They gave her a knapsack filled with berries and bread. It was a humble offering, but it was given with love and hope. They handed her a cloak to keep her warm. The nights could be cold, and they wanted to ensure she was protected. And they gave her a small wooden flute. It was a cherished heirloom, a symbol of their trust in her.
This flute belonged to your grandmother. The elder's eyes were filled with tears, a mixture of pride and sorrow. May its music give you strength on your journey. The flute was more than an instrument. It was a beacon of hope.
Ilara took a deep breath. She felt the weight of the village's hopes resting on her shoulders. But she was ready. She knew the journey ahead would be dangerous. The path was unknown, filled with perils and uncertainties. But she was determined to save her village. Her resolve was unshakable, her spirit indomitable. With a heavy heart but a hopeful spirit, Alara set off. She knew the road would be long, but she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She followed the trail left by the thief. Each step was a step closer to reclaiming the enchanted melody. It led to the edge of the village. The familiar sights of Harmonia faded behind her as she ventured into the unknown. It disappeared into the shadowy woods beyond. The forest was dark and foreboding, but Alara's heart was filled with light. It was the start of a perilous adventure. With courage as her guide and hope as her companion, Alara embarked on her quest to bring back the enchanted melody and restore harmony to her beloved village. The Forest of Whispers was a place of mystery and wonder. Legends spoke of its ancient trees and the secrets they held within their gnarled branches. It was said that the forest was alive, not just with the usual flora and fauna, but with a magic that whispered through the leaves and danced in the shadows. Many had ventured into its depths, but few had returned with tales to tell. Those who did spoke of an eerie beauty, a place where the line between reality and fantasy blurred. Sunlight struggled to reach the forest floor, casting dappled shadows that seemed to move of their own accord. The air was thick with the scent of moss and earth, and the occasional beam of light that pierced the canopy was like a spotlight on the forest's hidden wonders. Every step taken in this forest felt like a step into another world, a world where time stood still and nature reigned supreme. The trees loomed tall and imposing, their trunks twisted and ancient. They stood like silent sentinels, guarding the secrets of the forest. Each tree seemed to have a personality of its own, with branches that reached out like arms and roots that snaked across the ground like ancient veins. The deeper one ventured, the more the trees seemed to close in, creating a labyrinth of wood and shadow. Their branches seemed to reach out like grasping claws, as if trying to ensnare any who dared to trespass. The wind would occasionally rustle through the leaves, creating a sound that was almost like a whisper, a voice that seemed to speak directly to the heart. It was easy to see why the forest had earned its name, for the whispers were ever present, a constant reminder of the magic that lay hidden within. Strange noises echoed through the woods, a symphony of sounds that were both familiar and alien. The call of distant birds, the rustle of unseen creatures, and the occasional creak of the trees themselves. It was a place where every sound seemed amplified, where the silence was just as loud as the noise. For those who listened closely, the forest had a story to tell, a story of ancient times and forgotten magic. Whispers seemed to follow Alara's every step, a constant murmur that made her feel both watched and welcomed. She had heard the stories of the Forest of Whispers all her life, tales of its beauty and danger, but standing here now, she realized that no story could truly capture the essence of this place. It was alive in a way that was both enchanting and terrifying. Alara clutched her flute tightly, the familiar weight of it giving her some comfort. The flute had been her mother's, a gift passed down through generations. It was said to have the power to calm the spirits of the forest, to bring peace to those who played it. Alara hoped that it would guide her through the challenges ahead, that its music would be a beacon in the darkness. She was afraid, but she continued on, driven by a sense of duty and a glimmer of hope. The path ahead was uncertain, but Alara knew that she could not turn back. The fate of her village depended on her, and she was determined to see her journey through to the end. Each step she took was a step into the unknown, but she walked with purpose, her heart steady and her mind focused. She knew that the fate of her village rested on her shoulders. The elders had entrusted her with this mission, believing in her strength and courage. Alara thought of the faces of her friends and family, of the life she had left behind. She drew strength from their memory, from the love and support that had carried her this far. She would not let them down. She had to be brave, to face the unknown with a heart full of courage. The forest was a place of trials, a place where only the strong could survive. Alara knew that she would be tested, that she would have to prove herself worthy of the task she had been given. But she was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. She had to be strong, to stand tall in the face of adversity. The forest was not a place for the weak, and Alara was determined to show that she had the strength to overcome any obstacle. She walked with purpose, her steps firm, and her resolve unshakable. The whispers of the forest seemed to guide her, to encourage her to keep moving forward.
As she journeyed deeper into the forest, the trees grew denser, the air grew colder, and the light that filtered through the canopy became dimmer. The path ahead was shrouded in shadow, and Alara could feel the weight of the forest pressing in on her, but she did not falter. She knew that she had to keep moving, that the answers she sought lay somewhere ahead. Alara shivered in the gloom, the cold seeping into her bones. She wrapped her cloak tighter around her, trying to ward off the chill. The forest seemed to grow darker with each step, the shadows lengthening and the whispers growing louder. But Alara pressed on, her determination unwavering. Suddenly, she heard a rustle in the undergrowth. Her heart skipped a beat, and she froze, her eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of movement. The forest was full of hidden dangers, and Alara knew that she had to be on her guard. She held her breath, waiting for whatever was out there to reveal itself. She froze, her heart pounding in her chest. The rustling grew louder, and Alara could feel her pulse quicken. She gripped her flute tightly, ready to defend herself if necessary. The forest seemed to hold its breath, the whispers falling silent as if waiting to see what would happen next. A pair of bright eyes blinked at her from the shadows. Alara gasped, her fear momentarily giving way to curiosity. The eyes were large and luminous, reflecting the faint light that filtered through the trees. They seemed to watch her with a mix of caution and interest, as if trying to decide whether she was friend or foe. But it was only a little squirrel, its tail twitching nervously. Alara let out a sigh of relief, her tension easing. The squirrel was a reminder that not everything in the forest was dangerous, that there was still beauty and innocence to be found. She smiled at the little creature, grateful for the brief moment of levity.
"Hello, little squirrel," Alara whispered, her voice gentle and soothing. The squirrel tilted its head, its eyes bright and curious. Alara felt a connection to the creature, a sense of kinship in this strange and lonely place. She knelt down, trying to appear as non-threatening as possible. "Have you seen anyone pass this way?" she asked, hoping that the squirrel might understand her. The forest was full of secrets, and Alara knew that even the smallest creatures could hold the key to unlocking them. She waited, watching the squirrel intently. "A man, perhaps, with dark eyes and a sly smile?" Alara continued, describing the person she was searching for. The man was a figure of legend, a mysterious wanderer who was said to hold the answers to the forest's greatest mysteries. Alara hoped that the squirrel might have seen him, that it could lead her to him.
The squirrel twitched its nose and scurried down the trunk of a tree. Alara watched it go, her heart sinking slightly. She had hoped for a more direct answer, but she knew that the forest rarely gave up its secrets so easily. Still, she felt a glimmer of hope. The squirrel's actions seemed purposeful, as if it was leading her somewhere. It scampered over to Alara and tugged at her cloak, its tiny paws insistent. Alara looked down at the creature, her curiosity piqued. The squirrel seemed to be trying to tell her something, to guide her in a specific direction. She decided to follow, trusting in the forest's wisdom.
"Are you trying to show me the way?" she asked, her voice filled with wonder. The squirrel paused, looking up at her with intelligent eyes. Alara felt a sense of understanding pass between them, a silent agreement that they were in this together. She reached out her hand, and the squirrel seemed to nod in response. The squirrel looked up at her with intelligent eyes, its gaze steady and unwavering. Alara felt a surge of confidence, a belief that she was on the right path. The forest was full of mysteries, but she was not alone. She had a guide, a companion in this journey. Then, it turned and darted off into the undergrowth, its movements quick and agile. Alara took a deep breath and followed, her steps light and careful. The forest seemed to part before her, the path becoming clearer with each step. She felt a sense of purpose, a determination to see her journey through to the end. Alara hesitated for a moment before following, her mind racing with possibilities. The forest was a place of endless wonder, and she knew that every step she took brought her closer to the answers she sought. She steeled herself, her resolve firm, and stepped forward into the unknown. She was grateful for the company in this strange and unsettling place. The forest was a place of solitude, but with the squirrel by her side, Alara felt a sense of companionship. She walked with renewed purpose, her heart light and her spirit strong. The journey was far from over, but she knew that she was not alone.